Hi, this is Brian Katzling, and in this video I'm going to do a walkthrough of how to use my KCSG DataLink product to import click IDs like Google or Facebook click IDs or UTM conversion parameters into Kartra lead profile information using hidden form fields in Kartra opt-in forms. So first of all, you can obtain KCSG DataLink from my kpowertools.com website. The specific page is KCSG-DataLink, but you can get there from the homepage of kpowertools.com. First of all, you'll need to have custom fields in the lead profiles to store the query parameters from the URL that you're going to be storing in the lead profiles. To do this, you can go to the My Forms section. Under Forms, you can create the custom fields in the Custom Fields section. You can click on Plus Field. I recommend that you just call the field identifier the same name as the query parameter that you're going to be putting in. So, for example, GCLID or FBCLID or UTM underscore campaign, UTM underscore source, etc. So for this example, I'm just going to put in what it would be for the Facebook click ID. So that would be FBCLID, and that will be a text input. No users are really going to be looking at this fields, so I recommend you use the same name for the field identifier, the field label, and the field placeholder, and that will facilitate my scripts locating the field. So this will be FBCLID for this case of the Facebook click identifier. And then you would click Save, and then it would add this custom field to the list of available fields. When you go to create your form, you'll click on Add New Field. You'll see the custom fields that you've created as options. Go ahead and add those to your form. Even though it shows up here as part of the form, my code will hide it when the user sees the actual form displayed. You will also need to copy the DataLink control script. There's an example in the DataLink documentation, and you'll have access to this documentation after you purchase the DataLink product from kpowertools.com. You can simply go to the example called Import Click ID or UTM Parameters. It's got the example code there. The example code has sections like this one for Facebook. There's another for the Facebook click ID, there's one for the Google click ID, and code shown below for importing the various UTM parameters. You can use all of these or just one or two, whatever you need. If you don't need some of these, you can erase sections, just find a matching section. For example, for Facebook, it starts here on this line and runs through this line. So if you don't need Facebook, for example, you could just delete that set of comments. If you need to import something else, you can use this code as a template to import other query parameters. And there's also a support Facebook group if you need assistance modifying programs. When you purchase my product, you can join that Facebook group and get assistance for customizing your code there. Now, for the code to identify your form fields, you either need to specify a placeholder value, which will be whatever value you put into when you created the custom field. That's the easiest way. You could also have name equals here, and then the name that Kartra assigns to the fields. Custom fields start at custom_1, then custom_2, etc. as you create additional custom fields it just gets assigned custom underscore and then the next number for the field. So to find out if it's more important if a field is going to be visible to have a meaningful placeholder value, which is a little harder to match up. So for these, I would just recommend sticking with a placeholder, but if you ever need to look up the custom field name, when you come into your form, you can do Command or Control-Shift-I. That'll bring up the inspector. The inspector may be part of the window or free-floating, as mine is here, depending on how your browser is set up. But basically, you can come to the inspector, click on this part, make sure that this Edit to Configure Form isn't showing. If it is, just mouse over and mouse out. Click on this part here to select an element, hover over it, select the input, and then you'll see it brings up input and it'll show the placeholder value. That's the one we're going to key off of for this demo, but you could also key off of name equals, in this case, my field is assigned custom underscore 21. So we're going to use the placeholder equals double quote GCLID double quote, but you could also use name equals double quote custom 20 underscore 21 double quote. The placeholder value will be what you assign. The custom one is assigned by Kartra, so you could have a completely different one depending on what custom fields you have or have not already created. So in this case, we're going to take the code from the documentation. We're going to paste it into the body tracking section. So this is in the settings for the page. We're going to go to the tracking code section, and then in the body tracking, we're going to paste the code. This is a subset of the code, but you'll replace the placeholder values as necessary, or the name equals values as necessary. Click on Apply to add that to the page. Then you will either do a preview or a publish live to preview your page or save your page as a published page. When you look at your actual page, the hidden fields will have been hidden for the preview or live. If you have a URL that has the appropriate query parameters in it, the script will copy those query parameters to the matching horizontal fields, the matching hidden fields on your Kartra page. So when the user clicks submit or whatever your call to action button is, they will get imported to Kartra. The code is set up so that if the field is not provided, if the query parameter in the URL is not provided, then the corresponding field in the form is disabled, so that if a value is not provided, it will not overwrite the value, any previously imported value that's stored in the lead record. So after the user submits the form, if a value has been provided and imported, you'll be able to see that in the lead profile details. When you pull up your lead, you'll see, in this case, like the Google Click ID or the Facebook Click ID or the UTM parameters will be available in the custom fields section of the lead profile.